The day is finally here. NFL Draft 2025. Let's go.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thanks so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you for catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page. We definitely appreciate that. The show continues to grow each and every day. The excitement continues to grow each and every day because of what's coming up and what's getting started today, which is the NFL Draft. So thank you, Raider Nation, for your consistent support. Thanks to my man Ari, who does a great job behind the scenes each and every day on the YouTube page, making sure we look good and sound good. And you know that's a lot of hard work, making sure we look good and sound good. But he's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And if you want to be a part of the show, we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line at 707-654-4693. Your calls and texts, plenty of feedback. We'll get that coming up in segment number 3. Want to hear from you. What are in your mind? What's on your thoughts? What do you think the Raiders are going to do with pick number 6? Are they going to trade up, trade back? What are they going to do, stick and pick? Whatever the scenario is, we'll hear from you coming up in segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Segment number 2. Got an opportunity to catch up with multiple draft prospects on Wednesday at a Play 60 event for Special Olympics. They have it each and every year, the night before, or the day before, I should say, the NFL Draft. And I've been doing this for quite a while now and, man, had a really good time. So had multiple prospects I was able to catch up with. Ashton Genty, he's been mocked to the Raiders for the longest time at number 6. Will he even be on the board at number 6? You'll hear from him in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, just news and notes of the day. And really, it's just a recap of what's been going on around the silver and black and what's going on with the NFL Draft. Plus, you'll hear from another draft prospect. We'll jump right into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. So off top, just want to give you a recap of Wednesday. Green Bay, the first day. I've been spending multiple days in Milwaukee, right? Everyone knows that the shows have been coming to you live from ESPN Milwaukee. Wednesday, I was in Green Bay. Wednesday, I got to Lambeau Field about 7 a.m. local time, Central Time. Fantastic. I was the only dude out there. I parked my car really close to Lambeau, just got out and just walked. Raider Nation, it was so quiet. It was so peaceful. You know, there was one little old lady that was walking, trying to get a little exercise in the morning. She stopped me and started talking to me about, are you in town for the draft? Enjoy our community. And when I say it's a community, it's really an awesome community. Took some pictures of Lambeau Field. If you follow me on Twitter, at your boy Q254, Titletown is there. I was walking up and down Lombardi Avenue, and that's when it hit me. Wait a minute, this is the trophy. The Lombardi Trophy is where I'm walking right now. I'm walking on Lombardi Avenue. It's fantastic, right outside of Lambeau Field. And I'm telling you, I was told before I got there that it's, NFL and football, just history there. If you're a football buff, you need to go to Lambeau. And I thought, okay, it sounds good, right? Whatever. It's not going to be a big deal. It felt great. It felt great being there, and I was there super early so I could pick up my credentials for the draft that's obviously happening today, and also, for this big event that was going on with the NFL Draft prospects. I got all the different players, all 15 of them, I should say, that were all there, like Tyler Booker, Shahad Campbell, Will Campbell, Abdul Carter. I got a chance to catch up with Matthew Golden. You'll hear from him in a minute. Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and Jalen Milroe. I caught up with those 4. Really good conversations, and I got cut a little short because of the weather. All of a sudden, it went from being a really nice day at Lambeau to pouring rain. But still, it was awesome. I'm so excited for the next few days being here because this is something that, as many have told me, and I'm glad that I listened, if you're an NFL, if you're a football buff, if you love football history, Lambeau Field's where you need to go. Check that off your bucket list. Fantastic. So happy to have the opportunity to be here in Green Bay. But it's that time. It's go time. We've speculated about the draft for a very long time. We've talked about what could happen, what might happen, what should happen. Now it's about what is going to happen. Obviously, later on this evening, you're going to find out who the Raiders pick at 6, or maybe they trade up, maybe they trade back, whatever the case may be. We'll find out what actually happens. And tomorrow we'll talk about who they selected, who's the newest member of the Silver and Black. We'll find that out later on this evening. So excited about that. Now, there is a report out about Christian Wilkins, who's currently on the Raiders roster, that apparently there's a setback with his foot his recovery from his foot injury that he had last year. He was out there. He had to have foot surgery. He ended the year on IR, his first year with the Silver and Black. That was a report that came from Tony Pauline. I know him really well. I'm not going to discredit him and say that, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The only thing I could tell you is that he has been at voluntary workouts. And again, they're voluntary, but he's been there. There's plenty of pictures of him out there. AFL Godfather puts him out all the time. And you see him with the Raiders on their social media, Raiders.com. They've put him out there too. Christian Wilkins has been there. He's saying, Tony Pauline he's been saying that there's, been some kind of setback. Again, I can't tell you that there was or there wasn't, but maybe something to pay attention to. And so he's saying that the Raiders are leaning to, go with the guy like Mason Graham if he's available at number 6 because of Christian Wilkins. But we'll find out. Again, even if Christian Wilkins has suffered a slight setback, or even if he didn't, I wouldn't be opposed to them going after a defensive tackle at number 6 or sometime throughout the course of the draft anyway to continue to build up the depth that they have at that defensive tackle position. They've got Adam Butler. To bring in some more people, I would have no problem with that. Just continue to make us strength even stronger. But that's the report that's out there. Again, take it with a grain of salt. He's been at the voluntary workouts, and since they're voluntary, that kind of lets me know where he's at. So we'll see what happens, Raider Nation, but just continue to monitor that. I've asked a couple people, and they say, well, I don't really know. There's not a whole lot behind that. And when we're not there for practice and these voluntary moments, we don't know. But at some point this offseason, and it's not even the offseason anymore, it's the NFL season, but at some point we will have a chance to be out there, and we'll ask the powers that be if there's anything to that. So just go ahead and hold on to that. Now, as I mentioned, had an opportunity to be out at the Play 60 event. It was a Special Olympics event, and it's really the last thing that these prospects get to do. It's the last day before they become employees of a certain team, right? And that's the really cool thing. I think that this is such a great event where they can just sit there, they can go out there, play with the kids. The kids have a great time. Right, they have NFL prospects that are out there and just working them out and going through NFL drills and stuff like that. It's really fun every year. I ran into Commissioner Goodell, took a picture of him. If you follow me on Twitter at your boy Q254, you can check those pictures out. A lot of great pictures with me talking to Charles Davis, talking to Travis Hunter, talking to multiple players. I mean, all of that. It was really cool. So I tried to put as many pictures out there on social media as possible. But one guy I caught up with was Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. I think he can be in play to be the first wide receiver taken off the board. I know everyone's talking about Teteroa McMillan, but I really believe that this guy, Matthew Golden, could be the first wide receiver. He's actually my favorite wide receiver in this draft. So he's got that 4.29 speed. You want to talk about a guy that fits what the Raiders like to do, right? Speed kills. Yeah, he's got that speed, and he's got a little edge to him, a little chip on his shoulder, which I'm never mad at a player that has that because you just know you're going to get the best out of him each and every time that he takes the field. I caught up with him on Wednesday at the Play 60 event right there in the shadows of Lambeau Field, and he starts off talking about Quinn Ewers. Check it out.
Quinn, my dog, man. That's the first guy when I got to Austin. We went out and got some barbecue. Just talk ball. He got to know me on and off the field. I got to know him. Truly a competitor, man, a leader on and off the field. That's somebody that do pick him. You're getting a true guy. You're getting a true quarterback. Went through a lot of adversity, man. And, he just never stayed down. He always came back. I feel like that's what really defines him as a person, man. Once you get to know him, is he won't never back down. And just knowing that I got to play with him, the opportunity that we had together, man, is truly a blessing.
What was your time like in Austin?
It was amazing. The city, coaching staff, all of that, man. I benefited a lot from going there. And, just being around that organization, man, it meant a lot to me. Shout out to Coach Sark, Coach Becton, all of them guys up there. They gave me the opportunity to come there, and I made the most of it, man. So it's definitely a cool experience for me.
For you, what has this journey been like to where you are right now, knowing that tomorrow you're going to get drafted?
Say that one more time.
I mean, just the whole journey, right? I mean, You're right here. It's the day before the draft, and your name's going to get called pretty soon. How's that feel? What's that like?
Man, it's excitement, joy, emotions, all of that, man, because it wasn't easy to get here. A lot of people, I went through adversity a lot growing up, man. And to see how much my hard work paid off, everything I went through was for a reason. And I can't thank God enough for putting me in this situation.
How did you overcome the adversity that you went to get here?
always went to God, man. And, I always stay level, stay humble, but, I always approach everything with a chip on my shoulder. Like I always got something to prove, and, I just went about it that way. Anywhere I do go, I keep that mindset, I got to go. I got to get out of here. And that was my plan, going to Texas. I wanted to do one last year. Since my freshman year, I told myself I wanted to be 3 and done. That dream came true. So, just watching it come to life, man, it means a lot.
Is that how you play, with a chip on your shoulder, a little edge to you, like all that in your mind?
Yeah, I definitely do, man. If you ask anybody, you ask Texas, ask Houston, man, I've always been a quiet guy, but it was I'm very observant, but when it comes to playing football, man, it's like a business to me. That's something I take pride in doing, but that's something, I knew I would be able to give back to my family. And like I said, man, the adversity that me and my family went through, that's why, I feel like that's my why. It's definitely them. We went through a lot of stuff alone that nobody know about it. And to be in this situation and be able to get back to them, man, it means a lot.
Whatever team selects you, obviously it's going to be a blessing. But what are they getting? What is Matthew Golden bringing to the table?
You're getting a playmaker. You're getting a guy that leads by example. But you're definitely getting a competitor. You're getting somebody that you know what you can get out of each and every day. You're definitely getting 100%. You're getting a dog. And you're getting a guy that got a chip on his shoulder like he got something to prove.
Appreciate you. Good luck. Have fun tomorrow.
So there it is. Just a couple quick minutes right there with Matthew Golden. No joke. Right at the end of that, I had a couple more questions that I wanted to ask him. But it's funny, when we do these kind of interviews, whether it's at the Super Bowl or any kind of setting like this, all these players or any kind of guest that we have, they always have handlers. And so what the handlers do is all of a sudden they walk behind the person that you're interviewing, like in this case it's Matthew Golden, and they give you the wrap it up signal. So the funny thing is, I'm 3 minutes into this conversation, right? I got a couple more questions that I definitely want to ask, and all of a sudden I see, wrap it up. I see that, and I realized, because what had happened is there was a storm that was coming. And so they had already told us that, hey, all the media go to Lambeau Field, go underneath the, in basically the bowels of Lambeau Field, and we'll do everything there. We'll do all the media stuff there. But the players weren't going to be there. It was going to be Daniel Jeremiah, Charles Davis, Joel Klatt. I caught up with those guys as well. But that was only those guys were going to go there. The players weren't. So I was like, man, I got to get a couple more interviews, or at least get a couple sounds from these players. So I was like, nah, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to thug it out. Right? I'm going to try to go ahead and hang. And so she this lady, she gave me the look like, I'm going to need you to wrap this up, sir. So I was like, all right, well, be good. And as soon as I was done, as soon as I stopped pressing record, she was like, sorry, but the storm's coming. I was like, oh, I know. I felt a couple drops on my head. It's all good. No worries. So that's how it goes down. But that's a dude that's got a little edge to him. Football helped him overcome adversity in his life. That's what pushed him. That's what he thinks about when he's out there on the field. I like guys like that, playing with a purpose, right? Guys that have something that pushes them where failure is not an option. That's Matthew Golden. Would not be shocked to see him being the number one wide receiver, the first wide receiver taken off the board later on today. Coming up in segment number 2, the guy that's been mocked to the Raiders for many, many moons, Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. Now the question is not, are the Raiders going to take him at number 6? The question is he going to be there at number 6 for the Silver and Black? You'll hear from him next on the Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple great sponsors here on the show, and the first one is Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? It's been happening to me for years. Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Track all your accounts, investments, spending. It's all in one place, so you just stop managing your money and actually start building your wealth. A lot of people don't realize how much they spend out on food delivery or even just eating out, period. Now, I know how much I spend on that because I don't cook. I'm terrible at cooking, so I understand. I just chalk it up to the game. But a lot of people will look and be like, man, hold on, I spent that much money eating out? Yeah, it costs you some money. Well, that's good. This all-in-one convenience of Monarch Money helps you find out all of that, everything, right? Your finances, tracks your spending. It'll even help you plan your long-term goals. So you're probably wondering, how do I get involved with that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Take control of your finances right now with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's half off. It's monarchmoney.com. Again, code LOCKEDONNFL. It's all one word for half off your first year. I also want to tell you about Gametime. There's nothing like the atmosphere of NBA playoff game, right? Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it easy and fast to get into playoffs, right, and get the playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer. Their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. So check this out. Maybe you have a date, and you're like, man, I'm going to take you to this Warriors game, take you to Game 3 of the playoffs. You can wait a little while and just know that you're going to get a cheaper discount, and you'll be good to go. Then you'll look like a hero. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there for you. I'm not saying I've done that before. I'm just throwing it out there for you. Right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create the account, use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Again, want to get into some of the conversation that I had with multiple prospects that we were made available on Wednesday over at the Play 60 event right there in the shadows of Lambeau Field on Wednesday. It was fantastic. All the guys that are going to be in the green room later on this evening were all made available. Didn't get to catch up with all of them, but I'll tell you the conversations that I had were good. And, of course, Ashton Genty, since he has been mocked to the Raiders by everyone and their mother, first and foremost, had to make sure he was the first guy that I went and talked to. And it's funny, when I got there was a lot of Bears media. Bears. And we all know that that's been the conversation. They're going to trade up. They're going to jump in front of the Raiders to go and select Ashton Genty. So they were all there, boots on the ground, 10 toes down, whatever you want to call it. They were there trying to get as much information from Ashton Genty as possible. And I'll tell you, and you'll hear it in a minute, he sounded pretty fired up by the Bears and thinks that they're even going to have a possibility of trading up to go get him. So Ashton Genty, he's a really good dude, obviously a phenomenal running back, did a hell of a job there at Boise State. Had a chance to catch up with him on Wednesday, and we started off with some Bears conversations, but you'll hear me chime in some Raiders and then just about him in general, just who he is as a running back and as a man. Here's Ashton Genty.
Do you feel like there's a chance you could last to 10 if the Bears stayed there, or do you feel like you're gone before?
I feel like I'm gone before. I mean, I think there's a high need for running backs and, those teams in that area, and I think they're willing to trade up for a guy like me.
What are they telling you about what they like about you and how you might be able to fit into what they do?
The way I play football, being a 3-down back, catching the ball, running the ball, being able to protect the QB, protect the A-gaps. And I feel like that fits into pretty much any scheme, right? But definitely, the type of player they would like to, add to their roster.
Did you feel a connection as you talked to Poles and Johnson? How did you guys connect?
Yeah, I think it was good. Obviously you're going to talk football, but then just to get to know me even more as a person. We met at the Combine, but now I'm meeting again more on a personal level, one-on-one. I think there's great connection there for sure.
In what ways did you click with the enemy?
We talked about a lot, life, family. He talked about all the different guys that he coached, his experiences, and then, I did as well through my football career. So there's definitely it's more than football over there, you can tell, especially with him. Having him as a coach, he'll be, a mentor, someone who's there for you, I could tell, in that type of relationship.
What has this journey been like for you, for football and your family, as a matter of fact?
Long, exhausting, especially these past few months. But now to be here, to share this moment, it's a dream come true.
What was your meetings like with Pete Carroll and the Raiders?
They was good, man. It was dope. Good talks, and I can see a good connection there as well.
You feel like you could be gone before number 6?
I don't know, possibly, but things might get mixed up. Things might be different tomorrow than they were today, so we just got to see what happens.
What is the team getting in Ashton Genty?
Shoot, I think everybody sees I'm an amazing football player, but I think along with that, an amazing person who's, going to leave wherever I go better than, I found it.
Did you say earlier that you wouldn't be surprised if the Bears traded up?
Yeah, I think there's a few different teams that would want to trade up, but like I said, we just got to see what happens.
What did you think of your visit there to Hallis Hall?
It was a great visit.
great group of coaches there, nice facility. Overall, it's just a great experience.
The possibilities for you in that offense with Ben Johnson?
Yeah, endless opportunities in that offense.
How cool is it to get your mom in that commercial?
It was dope, man. I mean, my mom always talked about how she's going to be on TV one day, jokingly, but, it actually happened. So.
How'd that come about? Was that kind of your idea? Or?
A little bit, and, kind of the people who, in the marketing and all that, they said, throw moms in there, so we got it right.
How's she soaking all this in, all the commercials, all the big fame and everything that's been coming lately?
Yeah, she's enjoying it, but also there's two sides to it, right? So obviously with the fame and carrying yourself a certain way, and knowing that somebody's always watching, so there's that too. But it's been a lot of fun regardless.
How much did your background help you with that, knowing that everyone's always watching and military and coming from the family like that, the discipline? How much did that help you?
A lot. I mean, my dad's always been, up there in the military, retired as a chief. So obviously everybody know who I was. Everybody knows who my dad is. So, I represent him everywhere I go, just like he represents me. So just keeping that in the back of the mind always.
Ashton, when you were a wee little boy, did you have a dream of being any other job other than the NFL? Did you have a dream of being an astronaut or a firefighter or a firefighting astronaut?
Man, when I was, with Pee Wee Herman and them, I think I wanted to be a pilot, fly planes. Yeah.
Do you think now you could land a plane in case of emergency?
Oh yeah, definitely. Easy.
I don't believe in you. Also, give me your top 5 NFL running backs of all time.
Top 5. You gonna put me on the spot?
Mm-hmm.
All right, in no order. You got Barry. You got Adrian Peterson. Put LaDainian Tomlinson in there. Throw Walter Payton in there. That's 4. Damn, that's a lot of running backs.
Yeah.
Tough.
Maybe a J.H.I.
Yeah, throw J.H.I. in there.
Okay, J.H.I. Top 5 running back.
Yeah, top 5. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which one are you most like?
Which one am I most like? I think LT. Yeah.
Do you let yourself think about the possibilities tomorrow?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm in the place where I'm like, no, because you're just gonna your mind's gonna be swirling all day, trying to think about where you could possibly go, because you have no idea.
And I apologize if this has been answered already, but being out here for this camp, do you see in these kids what you had when you were their age?
Yeah, just, the excitement, the love, the passion for football, and, looking up to others who are, excelling in the game.
When you had that visit with the Raiders and you guys went to Topgolf, what was the competition like out there? Because Pete Carroll's all about competition.
He is, and, the moment we stepped in, they got a basketball in the team room, so we had a shooting competition as soon as we got there. But
how'd you do?
I won it, what I'm saying, for the offense. I got a little jumper.
Little J, okay.
But so I could tell they were using that in their evaluation just to see who's going to go and compete, try to swing, and even if they're not good, but, just try to get better that day. They're not going to say it, but I know they was for sure.
I like to ask the questions about, just the person. I like to get to know who you are, what drives you, what pushes you. So, it's one thing I'm going to obviously ask, like I did, how was the meeting with the Raiders? What'd you think about this, that, and the other? But I also like to get to know the person. So the military background with Ashton Genty for me is big. As a guy that spent a long time in Central Texas and did radio shows at Fort Hood, I got a lot of respect for the military, and I understand that you come from a military household, you're cut a little different, right? And so Ashton Genty, he's been all around, right? Was in Italy. Born in Florida, went to Italy, played high school football in Texas, right? Ended up at Boise State. I mean, the dude's been all over, but he's very disciplined. That's the key. He's very disciplined. He's about himself. You heard what he said in there. He said, I represent my dad wherever I go, and my dad represents me wherever he goes, right? Because dad was, chief, and everyone knew who he was, chief officer, right? So everyone knew who he was, so he had to make sure that he was on point. So it's just different. And so I've talked to Genty before on my radio show when I was on ESPN's Game Night. I talked to him before and got a really good impression of him there. And then just the way he conducts himself and hearing him right there last 4 or 5 minutes, whatever the case was, you can hear who he is as a person in general. So if the Raiders get an opportunity to get him at 6, I think that'd be a home run. I know I've been one that questioned if a running back is the guy you should take at number 6, but if they do end up having the opportunity to get him at number 6, and they do, I think Raider Nation is going to be really happy with who they got. But that was Ashton Genty from Wednesday. I still have some sound from Jalen Milroe, Travis Hunter. Obviously, Hunter's going to be gone early. But if Jalen Milroe is still in the green room when we get ready for the show on Friday, when we're recapping what happens later on tonight and then tomorrow's show, you'll hear from Jalen Milroe. Because I'll tell you what, that dude, he's got a message to say, and I definitely want you to hear that. But, again, if he doesn't get selected on today in round 1, definitely have that coming up on tomorrow's show. But we're going to hear from you next. Your calls and text, 707-654-4693. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, and that is LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when your clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, right? Which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. How does it work? Good to you ask. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions, then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip, a pro's pro. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find quality hires quickly. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts, your time to shine for the last time before the NFL draft gets started. So let's start this bad boy off. Raider Dougie doing the Dougie in Central Valley, California. Raider Dougie's calling to send a warning to Raider Nation. A little PSA from Raider Dougie in Central Valley, California. Here he is, Raider Doug.
Hey, Q. This is Raider Dougie out of Central Valley, California. We're reading all the draft news, and I know the draft is basically here on Thursday, but I wanted to just throw this out there that to all Raider Nation, because it's going to happen. Don't get your hopes up for Ashton Genty. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he goes to the Jaguars at this point, or a different team, but I'm thinking he's not going to be there at 6. So, Raider Nation, just temper your feelings, get your emotions in check, and just be prepared for Shador Sanders, Mason Graham, Armand Membu, or a trade back. So that we will not get a blue chip player, it looks like, in the first round, but as long as we get a quality starter along with the rest of the rounds in the draft, I think we'll be in a better place. But I'm just tempering my my expectations. So that's it. Just wanted to be a word of caution, if you will, to the fans. So take care, Q. Have a good one. Go Raiders.
My man, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate you. And it feels like the Raiders and Raider Nation are being set up for disappointment, right? It's so funny. We've talked about Ashton Genty for so long, and I know I questioned him at number 6. Is that a good pick? Are the Raiders ready for it? We've had so much discussion, and now it sounds like, man, he might not even be there at number 6. And if he's not, I guarantee you, even though an offensive tackle might be the better pick, I mean, you know me, I went back and forth many times on if the Raiders should go and get a tackle or should they get Genty. I guarantee if the Raiders end up with an offensive tackle, Raider Nation is not going to be happy. There might be some that are like, oh, that's a smart pick. That's a good pick. Whatever. Nobody's going to be happy, right? Because now everyone visions Genty, that difference maker, that guy that can change the game, right? And so you're right. Everyone's going to be disappointed, but let's just sit back, see what it looks like. Spytek, Carroll, they're in charge. So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm fired up, right? I get fired up every year for the draft. But, I mean, as we've all talked about, it feels like there's some adults in the room. So hopefully they make some adult decisions. The thing is, if they make those right decisions, everyone should be happy. I just don't know if Genty's going to be there for them. That's the case. I mean, they might want to take him. They might right now think, hey, we're going to take him at 6. But he might not be there, right? The Jaguars might take him at 5. The Patriots might take him at 4. And I'd say the dark horse is the Bears at 10 trade up to, say, 5 or 4 to go get him. And the other thing is, maybe the Raiders aren't really into him as much as they say they are, and maybe they want the Bears to try to trade up to, like, say, 6 so they can trade back to 10, get a couple more picks, and then also have a couple other players that they're targeting that they can build their team. That's another way to look at it, but I appreciate the PSA for sure. Thanks so much for the call. Up next, got a text from Joe in KC. Says, hey, Joe. Hey, Q. Joe from KC here. The abusive relationship continues. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Look like we're going to make another off-the-wall decision. We have an opportunity to take a difference maker, and we may end up with the third best tackle. I'm tired of this. Joe from KC. All I got to say is whatever I just said to Raider Dougie, right? That's all I got to say. That was a perfect example, right? Joe and KC is already just assuming that the Raiders are going to make a bad pick, and that meaning an offensive lineman. He thinks that Armand Membu is going to be the guy. He's calling him the third offensive tackle. I'm sure that's who he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking of Kelvin Banks, because Kelvin Banks was a guy that was at first the number 1 tackle. Then he went down to number 3 tackle, but now he's climbing back up. But many reports are talking about him, the relationship between Steve Sarkisian and also Pete Carroll, why he would make more sense for the Raiders at the tackle position. But I think if they go tackle, and this is just my gut feeling, if they go tackle at number 6, I think it'll be Armand Membu, because he's a true right tackle. And we all know that that's where the Raiders need is a right tackle. I think Miller is going to be there. I know some people talk about trading him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Miller would be fine at the left tackle spot. You put Armand Membu at the right tackle spot and say, hey, dog, go play this spot for 10 years. That's it. Straight up. We'll give you multiple contracts, play the spot for 10 years, and hold it down. The right tackle position has been a turnstile since Lincoln Kennedy retired. Lincoln Kennedy, right? He's on the radio broadcast now. He's the homie, right? I mean, that's been a very, very long time. It has been a turnstile. So hopefully this, it all gets worked out. If they don't get a tackle early in the draft, look for them to get one later. And as we've been told, look for a small school offensive lineman. That's kind of what John Spytek and Jason Light there in Tampa Bay did all the time. So thanks so much for the text. I do appreciate you. Keep your head up, man. The draft's coming up tonight. Don't get down yet. We'll at least wait to see the results of what happens at pick number 6 and the first round in general, because you never know. Maybe the Raiders trade back into the back end of round number 1 and get another player. Just throwing that out there. Got a call from Eric in the 209. He's calling to talk about his dream scenario for the Raiders starting today.
Hey, Q, it's Eric in the 209 giving you a call. Draft day is here if this message gets played on Thursday, but my hopes are that the Raiders either get Genty at 6 or trade back a little and pick up one of the corners and then trade up into the back of the first round to get Jalen Milroe, because I think 2 years learning with Chip Kelly and Greg Olsen and unleash that man on the NFL and hope it turns out, because if it does, we're going to have the most exciting offense that we have seen in a long, long time. I really hope that's what happens. We'll see. In 24 hours from now, we're all going to know. Raider Nation out.
Eric, thanks so much for the call. It's funny. Genty at 6 or trade back and get a corner, then also get Milroe at the back end of round 1. What did I just say to Joe and KC? Maybe the Raiders come away with a couple picks in round 1. I think that would be ideal. I did 8 different radio hits on Wednesday, whether it was TV, like TV in Sacramento, TV in, where's my other TV? Oh, TV in Vegas. I did a radio hit in Austin, Texas. I did a radio hit, I don't know, all over the place. You know how I get down. Wherever people call and was like, hey, can you come on and talk Raiders? Yeah, I did it. So anyway, did so many of them, and everyone asked me what I would walk away from the draft being the happiest of. And I said, I think if the Raiders got Ashton Genty and Jalen Milroe with their first 2 picks, I think that'd be a home run. I just think Jalen Milroe has something where he can grow into it. I know he's not a polished product. I know he's not a guy that's ready to be a starter right now, and he does too. The conversation that we had with Jalen Milroe on Wednesday was phenomenal. You want to talk about a dude who's got his head on straight. You want to talk about a dude who understands the assignment. Jalen Milroe. I promise you, Raider Nation, if he's still in the green room on Friday, if he does not get picked tonight, you will hear what Jalen Milroe had to say on tomorrow's show. Now, if he goes to another team, it really won't matter, right? Because the Raiders can't get him. That means someone else traded up and went and got him. But if he's still there ahead of day 2, you will hear what Jalen Milroe had to say on Friday's show. I promise you that. But I agree with you. I think that would be a dream scenario. I think the Raiders would have done really well with their first 2 picks if they can come away with Ashton Genty and also Jalen Milroe. Could you imagine with that offense, especially around the goal line, right in the red zone where the Raiders struggle the most. Can you imagine letting Jalen Milroe come in and also have Ashton Genty? Like, who are you blocking? Who are you tackling? Who are you stopping? Oh, man, Chip Kelly would have a field day with that situation. So, Eric, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Up next, got a text from TN Raiders. What's up, Q? TN Raider here. It's a no booty since 2020. I'm hoping we get Genty with the first pick, and I hope they go after a starting defender with their second pick. Who are some cornerbacks and linebackers they may have their eyes on? I feel like those are the biggest needs. Thank you for what you do. Go Raiders. That's TN Raider. Thanks for the text. I appreciate you. Look, the cornerbacks that I really like are, Jahdae Barron. Will Johnson, I like him a little bit, but he's a little bit slower. Trey Amos is the guy that you could look in the second round. He's a guy out of Ole Miss. I think that he would be an intriguing corner. There's a few of these corners that are out there that you might be able to get a little bit later. I definitely believe that that's an area that they need to address. I just like Jahdae Barron a lot, and I know that he's not going to be a guy that's going to be in round 2. He'll definitely be gone sometime in round 1. But, man, if you can go get that guy, he is the dude. I know we immediately, when Jack Jones was released, we immediately started talking about Will Johnson, but Jahdae Barron, to me, is that guy. And, again, I'll go back to the relationship between Pete Carroll and Steve Sarkisian. Where did Jahdae Barron go? Yeah, you got it, Texas. So there's that. So thanks for the text. I do appreciate you. Up next, I just got time for a couple more. Sucker-Free Raider. He's calling to ask about the draft or talk about the draft and a thought that he had last night, and he wants to speak on it. Here he is, Sucker-Free Raider.
Hey, what's up, Q? Your boy Sucker-Free Raider. Man, hope you're tripping. Everything's going good. Hope you're having a blast out there. It's draft day. I'm in Vegas, about to go to the draft party out here. And, man, I just thinking about, last night I was just thinking about, man, I just want to give a shout out to AP, for, what he done. And then, he kind of put the fire back in me as far as, that Raiderism and stuff, Tom Telesco did his thing on the draft and whatever. And I feel like, they were on track. I don't get me wrong. I love the, coaches, everybody we got right now. It's more executive. It's more professional feeling, but, I just couldn't help but just think back on, man, it felt real Raiderish. You know what I'm saying? And I know, man, it's a tough break, but, they had that line. They were ready for that line, with Crosby and Wilkins and Kuntz and all them. And I know he's going to kick back and watch that line, if they stay healthy, man, with what they wanted to do. And it's, like I said, man, tough break, but, man, go Raiders. Let's do this. And I know they would have, the same coaches and whatever, they'd have came through on this draft too, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But like I said, man, just couldn't help but think back and want to give a shout out to AP, you know what I mean? We out.
Sucker Free, thanks so much for the call. And I think it's fair to give AP and Tom Telesco props. I think Tom Telesco did a good job with his first year as the GM when he goes through his selections. I mean, you got Brock Bowers, you got Jackson Powers Johnson, you got DJ Glaze. DeCam Richardson played a lot, but he wasn't very good, but he got a lot of play. Maybe he'll improve, but you get 3 starters with someone else's staff that you're choosing players from. I think you did really well. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Tom Telesco didn't get the quarterback. Well, he didn't have a chance to get the quarterback. The quarterback that they wanted was Jaden Daniels, and Washington wasn't coming off that number 2 spot. It just wasn't going to happen. I hear people say, well, he didn't re-sign Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was already out the door. He was already done, right? By the time that season got wrapped up, Josh Jacobs was ready to go. Anyone listened to this show back in the Super Bowl week heard Josh Jacobs talk, and he was ready to roll. So I don't hold that against Telesco. Telesco got fired because he became, collateral damage. He was the middleman in between, the new staff that was in, Tom Brady was in, and he really didn't have any power, and so they just basically move on from him. But I do see the vision. I think AP was onto something. Players got injured. The Raiders didn't have any depth, and AP, obviously had a lot of growing pains as a head coach. I don't know if he's ever going to get another opportunity, but his plan and his approach wasn't wrong. Hell, we saw how the Eagles won the Super Bowl. The way that AP wanted to play football, have a nasty defense, a great run game, and then do what you're supposed to do offensively to get it done, right? And obviously they didn't have that. But he had the right game plan, just didn't have the personnel or the depth. And he wasn't the guy either. I mean, Nick Sirianni clearly is a better coach than AP was. So, I mean, there's that. But, I think you're onto something. But I am excited about this staff moving forward. I think Pete Carroll and John Spytek have some good things cooking, and they can really set this team up for some success. We'll close things out with a text from Jazzy Jeff in the Bay. So what's up, Q? Jazzy Jeff from the Bay. If the Raiders could trade back, I think they should get Will Johnson, a.k.a. Nnamdi 2.0. He's a ball hawk and can score with the rock. He has scored more touchdowns himself than wide receivers scored on him at Michigan. That's Jazzy Jeff in the Bay. I like Will Johnson, but his speed or lack of speed or we don't really know what his speed is something that concerns me. And then also the fact that, he was a little bit banged up or a lot banged up this year. I know he had his showcase and apparently he's healthy, but it always concerns me when a player is coming in a little bit banged up, how good they're going to be. But if they do trade back, I can see Will Johnson being the thing. That's the thing. If they trade back, then, yeah, Ajay Barron should be in play. Will Johnson should be in play, right? Kelvin Banks should be in play. There's multiple options they can have if they do trade back, but that would be trade back options. Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Bama, I think if they trade back to, say, 13, 14, 15, I think he's in play for them, and we know linebacker's an area that they need as well. So a really good text, Jazzy Jeff. Thanks so much for the text. I do appreciate that. And that's going to do it for today's show. Raider Nation, it's done. The hay is in the barn. It's time for the draft, right? So enjoy the first round. Obviously, we'll have reaction if the player, I've already been told by the Raiders, if the player is in the green room, I'll get an interview with him after he gets drafted. So we'll bring that to the table tomorrow. If Jalen Milroe is still in the green room for tomorrow, you'll hear what he had to say on tomorrow. And obviously, we'll react to whatever the Raiders do in round one and how they set themselves up for round two, and even how the rest of the board shakes out and who else is left in the green room or who else is left on the board that the Raiders could go and address and make their team better. So until then, Raider Nation, enjoy draft day. It's finally here. We speculated about it. We talked about it, but it's time to make the pick. So we'll be back on Friday. We'll close things out really strong. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.